Good morning, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in the real estate industry. Welcome to episode number 70 of the video podcast for the 5-year real estate career. So exciting. Today's topic is going to be the new construction playbook, 9 steps to dominate your market. And I think even more poignant than that is how real estate agents can win more listings, can make more sales, can develop builder partnerships, and close more deals utilizing new construction. Strike while the iron's hot. Like to ask you to think about a couple things. Did you know that across the country, 60% of all Americans and an even higher percent of real estate professionals have absolutely no financial plan in place? How can they get there if they don't know where the heck they're going? Did you also know that rents continue to increase? And of course, by more than 30% in recent years, recent months even. And in many markets since 2020, while home ownership still remains the most stable way to build wealth, fewer and fewer people are attaining that. We as real estate people must be the solution to this challenge. And lastly, did you know that more than 78% of renters wished they could be homeowners? They are dying on the vine, wanting to become homeowners, wanting our services, but they're held back by fear, improper knowledge, what they believe to be a lack of cash and poor credit. These are all things that we can solve. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some of these solutions and more. But imagine, just think about this. We talk about it every single week, having a real estate career that in 5 years or less can enable you to live the lifestyle you want to live with the income that you feel appropriate and in some cases exceeding what you ever dreamed possible. It's all true. It may sound like hype, but it's what we bring to the table here at the 5-year career. After all, financial freedom starts with one major thing. Gentlemen, say it at the same time. Leads.
Leads.
After all,
Many
that's what we
leads.
want, right? So while you're talking, Eric, you've got a big smile on. Say hello to the team, Eric.
Have a great day. It is a great day. So come join us. We do these podcasts and, the statistics that you were giving, when you think about them, they're kind of mind blowing, right? 78% of renters do wish they were real estate owners, but for fear, lack of information, and often misinformation, they're not. And that's why I think what we do as realtors out there is a great mission.
And if anybody should know what they're talking about, it's the automatic landlord, Mr. Eric Wilner. Also on today's call, Skip Wiley, the fanatical marketer. Say hello, Skip.
And today is a great day because what we're going to do on today's call is solve the biggest problem for those 70%. The problem of not owning a home, not building net worth. And that's what we're going to solve on today's call. And we're going to help a real estate agent solve it for his clients.
Yep. So in our 5-year career, just to put the premise where it stands, there's 3 key components that we always talk about: direct income from the fruits of your labors, indirect income, money that you make from the efforts of others, and passive income, which is money that you make while you sleep in conjunction with all of the parts and pieces that come with your 5-year career, including ongoing referrals, stock options, you name it, things that come automatically to you. We're going to solve that today with something we all love, near and dear to our hearts: new construction. So we're going to talk about 9 actionable steps that you as a real estate professional can do whether or not you have new construction in your backyard. So Skip, let's start off by defining our goals. How do we get started on this?
Well, let's talk about what niche inside that builder market we actually want to focus on. There are several niches in that marketplace. One is the custom builder. You find a customer, you pair him up with a custom builder, you wait a year, and hopefully you don't have any challenges between that relationship. That's a niche I'm familiar with in South Florida. The second is you become kind of a spot builder. You focus on finding lots and then you partner with a builder. Again, that process is tedious. You're helping a customer find what they want, but there's some risk factors associated with that because maybe that partnership that you put together doesn't work out as well as you thought it would. But here's the niche that we're going to focus on over the next 6 months. It is a viable, productive niche. It is the best niche for the consumer that I have seen in the past decade. And that are the national and regional builders that have a problem. They have excess inventory. So let's not focus on that challenge. Let's focus on the motivation and the reason why those builders, that type of builder, is the best place to spend your time and energy. First and foremost, builder incentives make it easy to work with a home buyer. Rate buy downs, closing cost credits, preferred lender deals. That'll solve the affordability issues for many of those buyers. That gives you, as a real estate agent, a huge advantage over resale listings that offer none of those benefits. Or you have to negotiate them, and it's really tough to negotiate buy downs from 6.5% to 3.99%. Pretty difficult, if not impossible. Also, today there's more inventory and there's far less competition. A lot of real estate agents don't focus on new construction. Haven't figured that deal out yet. Have you guys? I mean, there's so much out there today, but resale homes are still fairly tight in most markets. Prices have not gone down on those properties, although they're starting to go down. But builders have move-in ready homes and pre-construction inventory. And most agents still don't understand how to market or sell new construction. So if you learn how to do it, you're going to stand out. Here's another reason as a real estate agent to focus clearly on new construction. High commissions, less hassle. The last 3 transactions that I did here in Pensacola, I took a buyer that I was referred to 2 projects. The project salesperson took care of everything. All I did was bring them there, register them, and 30 days later, that transaction closed. So as a real estate agent, you don't have to worry about repair requests, inspection drama, or appraisal fights like you do when you sell a consumer an older home. Here's another thing that I urge you to do: create preferred relationships. Go out and see 5 or 6 different home builders and befriend them. Find out who they are, what they like, because these people will start sending you referrals of buyers that want to buy their project. But more importantly, and this is a part a lot of new construction agents don't think about, is that many of the listings that you'll pick up will come directly from that new home builder, that representative that wants to sell that buyer new construction, but has a property that they have to liquidate before they can buy that new home. And just 2 other quick points. New construction is the easiest thing to market. Gorgeous model homes. You can run Facebook and Instagram campaigns. You can hold weekly home tours. You can do deals of the week. All of those things make new construction, that niche, ideal. And finally, first-time home buyers and investors love new construction. Why first-time home buyers love it? Well, they like turnkey, low maintenance appeal, and investors love new construction. And Eric, I hope you'll talk about this a little further, because there's warranty protection, there's appreciation, and there's potential tenant appeal, which will make it much easier to rent that property. So back to you, Pat.
All right, well, that was the 9 tips for new construction. So we thank you all for your time today. Like to thank
Get out of
guest.
here. That was just a teaser part of it.
Anyway, Eric, the next piece of information is
before we
understanding
jump
finance.
into the personal finances, as if Skip didn't just give you enough reasons, let's talk about this. We're in an era right now of technology, and the technology has really been a great asset, and most people aren't taking advantage. And I'm not talking about just, the latest AI and the Chat GPT fad that's going on. I'm talking about, number one, new construction that is being done using new technology, meaning more energy efficient, meaning more quality built homes, built faster. And so, some of the builders are selling properties and doing great incentives because they're worried about, playing this game of musical chairs. They don't want to sit on a lot of inventory. But even more builders are building in those incentives because of the efficiency of the technology. So that's really cool. And the efficiency also benefits the homeowner, like we were talking about, better homes, more tight designs. I was just in a new construction project up at Tesoro, and like I was amazed at the low amount of wasted space, right? So those are really cool. So you got bigger players playing the game at a higher level, more scalable. Plus, Skip, you forgot to mention that when you buy new construction, you also get more customization. Most people buy an existing home and then they got to repaint, they got to rip out carpet. You're going to move in exactly the way that you designed the property. So just a couple of things that I wanted to add there. But now let's talk about your personal finances, and most people are going to say, like, well, what does this have to do with new construction and everything? But see, even as an agent, your ability to invest in marketing, to do model home promotions, to do co-op advertising hinges upon you having your finances in order, because we don't invest in those things if we feel insecure about our own finances. And so here I want to take a second and talk not about the buyer's finances, because we'll get to that, but to talk about yours. You got to review your credit. Most people underestimate the value of their credit. And I'll just say this really quick. If you have a 700 credit score, you're in the great average. That's the average credit score in America. If you have a 600 credit score, you have below par average credit, and that's going to cost you a lot more. The same items that you want to buy, but when you buy with a 600 credit score, you're going to pay more. On the other hand, 800 credit scores will make you money. So just focus a little bit on that, because an 800 credit score gets you 0% interest on financing. You have credit cards tripping over each other, trying to make you take their money, and therefore giving you cash bonuses when you use their things. So credit is an area to focus. That also, whether it's cash capital available or credit capital available, know what your reserves are and know what that is, because that has also a lot to do with your confidence in your ability to go forward. Because when you know that your situation is solid, then you present a solid persona out to the public. And that's why I know people hate the word, but you got to set up a budget and allocate specifically. Skip was talking about setting goals. Allocate specifically what you're going to invest in your new construction area, whether it be the time that you're going to invest, the money that you're going to invest, and perhaps in the area that you're going to invest. So back to you, Patrick.
Yeah, all amazing tips. And Skip, you really hit on something very valuable, because in the next 6 months, the three of us, do believe new construction is a very hot commodity. With that being said, I think this next piece of the puzzle is super important. And what I'm about to share, I think, is contrary to what our title of this, which was to dominate your market. Well, many people watching this video podcast may not have new construction in their market. So it's going to be tough for them to dominate their market, but it doesn't mean they can't dominate in their own personal business and have the best year ever by focusing on new construction in target markets that make the most sense. So, Skip, you were talking about investors loving new construction and first-time home buyers, or anybody in between. But the investor piece is something that's really important for people that may not have new construction in their backyard. So selecting your target markets, you want to identify areas with the highest new construction activity. So I know, Skip, in your market in Pensacola, there's probably a half a dozen new construction markets because the population is expanding. In fact, the whole panhandle of the state of Florida, the Gulf Coast, is on fire right now, and even Jacksonville and St. Augustine. So those are hot markets. You may have markets in the Midwest, in the West. All of those can be very viable. In particular, if you're focusing on investors, they today are more inclined to buy where the returns are best, not necessarily sitting in their backyard. We also want to have a little bit of knowledge, if you're doing this on your own, as to what some of the builder processes are, the plans that are being laid out in these perhaps on the fringe areas, right? There are some new construction projects. I know we were working on one in Edinburgh, Texas, that was a little bit off the charts on a major highway, but there wasn't much going on around it. Different sale than something that's in the hottest market, and I mean real estate hot, not temperature hot, in the United States. So you want to focus on these things. And even if it's not in your backyard, you can still become the go-to expert. The websites that the builders offer, the sales teams, we've all talked about that. They've got sales teams that will bend over backwards to help you make that sale because that's how they make a living. They love realtor referrals coming to them because their job is best when they get the buyer ready, willing, and able to purchase, and then they take them through that process. Our job is to tee them up. So as always, leads lead. That's where the money is made. So it's super easy to become the subject matter expert if new construction is in your local marketplace. You want to visit these, get to know the people, glad hand the salespeople, meet the managers, talk to the lenders, all of these things to help you get a better sense of what that product is offering. Well, what if it's not in your backyard? Well, folks, we're going to talk about this towards the end, but we have a done for you system here. We will be doing these workshops, these webinars for investors, and you can piggyback on them. It doesn't take any skill set other than you contacting us, which we'll tell you how at the end of the podcast, and join our program. You can stay where you're at in the real estate company. It's painless. It doesn't cost you anything to get this rolling, in essence. So lastly, you want to look for those hottest markets and partner with either a local realtor there or the builder. Now, most builders will require you to bring physically the customer to their sales center to register them. That's why we recommend, as part of your networking team, have local realtors in those markets that you can get to know and have a revenue share arrangement. Doesn't have to be a referral fee. It can be a 50-50 split. It could be a 75-20 split the other way if all they're doing is putting somebody into their car and driving them to the new construction site. So lots of ways to skin the cat and make a lot of money in new construction. So Skip, since we're talking about the team, I'll hand it back to you.
Well, I'm going to make this short and sweet, but you got to have a team beside the builder team. And the reason for that is sometimes when you go to a project and the customer gets really excited about buying that project, the builder's lender denies that customer. So you need an outside new construction lender that might pick up the slack when that particular transaction falls through. Another area for me personally is home inspectors. You know, a lot of people buy new construction thinking that everything is going to be perfect. Well, sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. And so my recommendation is always have a home inspector on your team that can go out and do that inspection. It's a small amount of money to cover your aspirations, as a good friend of mine says. And the truth of the matter is you need to have that home inspector on your team. You also need an insurance agent because some builder developers, the big national ones, have their own insurance company, and sometimes the rates are the best. But other times they're not the best. So you need a insurance agent that is an expert at homeowners insurance for both investors and for owner-occupied properties. So somebody that can quickly quote policies, bundle options, advise you on flood insurance, because the transaction, the buyer transaction for an investor is dramatically different than the transaction for an owner occupant. They're looking at different things. They're looking at the bottom line. So it's really important to have that. You want to build strong relationships with representatives that are builder models, and you want a new construction friendly attorney on your team. Why? Well, because sometimes when you hand a first-time homebuyer a document that's 120 pages long, the builder contract, they may walk away from that transaction because of discomfort. So if you have a local new construction attorney that can comfort them about that contract, and that's happened to me a couple times in my life, it's a good idea to have them on your team. And finally, if I'm building a team totally based on new construction, I'm going to have a VA, because that VA is going to work diligently for me to post on Facebook, to post on Marketplace, to post every possible place that I am Mr. New Construction. Develop a name, develop a brand around what you do, and that team is a vital part of building that brand.
Yep. Teams are always vital. Every time you hear us talking about any of the niches, whether it's first-time home buyers, affinity marketing, new construction, or investors, team vital. This is not a solo sport by any means. So I know we kind of touched on this in the first segment, but Eric, new construction focus. What are some thoughts that you have about that?
And I think about this a lot. There's really three main options here. And as Skip was talking about the team that you pick, one of the things you got to keep in mind as you're picking your team, i.e., the builder that you want to work or the builders that you want to work with, is will you specialize in pre-selling, pre-construction, or existing construction? That's two big considerations. But within either one of those, just to give you an idea how there's so many variations, but do you want to specialize in working with large builders, which have, almost an inexhaustible inventory of properties to sell? Because by the time they finish selling one community, they're already set up and building in another. So you could probably specialize in one of the big builders and do nothing else, and understand their system, their process, their models, which, by the way, are becoming more and more standardized. That's one way, large builders. Where I find a really neat opportunity is in mid-sized builders. You see, the large builders, they already have their in-house salespeople. They already have their own mortgage and finance people. They, like Skip said, they may even have their own insurance people. They have their own designers. They have everything. But a mid-size builder and I'm talking about somebody that builds, let's say a dozen to, 30, 40 in a year. There are a lot of times these are just regional builders. They don't have the staff that the big ones do. So there's a great opportunity for you to become their in-house sales staff, for you to basically be their go-to salesperson. You can take over all their marketing responsibilities so they can focus on building and putting out great custom homes. Or third, you could be marketing to small builders, because they also don't have a good sales or marketing arm. So they need you, but now you got to put together a group of those, because, a builder that builds, 2 or 3 or 4 houses a year isn't going to pay the bills the way you want to build a 5-year career. So each approach offers different opportunities. It's worth the conversation. And P.S., when you come to one of our webinars, you'll hear more about this. You can always contact us about this. But like I said, each opportunity offers multiple, I call it 28 flavors to, represent the builder, make good sales, earn commissions, and most of all, establish yourself as an authority. Back to you, Patrick.
Yep. Right on. And Eric, you're right. You can slice and dice that deeper and deeper. I mean, I know people, I do a lot of work with them, that identify the most deplorable houses in the local marketplace, and they buy those. I just listed one this morning. I sent you, by the way, Eric, the MLS
I
on.
saw the email. I have to click on the link. Yes.
Teardown. It's code violation city. It's a nightmare. There's 7 illegal, for lack of a better word, add-ons to a 2-bedroom house with 7 different tenants. This has to go to an investor that's going to scrape that thing to the ground and rebuild a property. But there's plenty of those out there. And to your point, if you can make that part of your niche, then you've got a subset of this new construction craze that we're talking about. But coming full circle, the easy peasy stuff is the big builders that have lots of inventory that they are offering huge incentives to liquidate right now. So you don't have to wait that 1-year building cycle to get paid your commission. It's going to happen the minute you close on that property within the next 30 days. But creating a new construction financing blueprint is also super important. We've touched on that. And I believe there are a couple of angles, right? Skip, you really said it poignantly. Sometimes the best opportunity is the builder's lender themselves, because they have baked in a ton of incentives, whether it's super low interest rates compared to the local marketplace, builder paid closing costs, and other incentives. But sometimes that buyer may not fit their mold as the grade A buyer. So then we come back to your team member, your other lender that may offer other programs. What used to be the subprime is now the non-QM loan, different types of programs for different needs, and that's super important. But the reason why we definitely want to know what the builders lenders are offering is you don't want to look like a knucklehead and send somebody to your local neighborhood lender who can offer them a 6.7% interest rate and full closing costs paid by the buyer when they could have gone right next door and gotten all that stuff covered for them. So know what you're talking about. That's the gist of this whole video podcast today, is become informed on this stuff. So know the upgrades, know if there's spec homes available. And then also, are you dealing with an investor or an end user buyer? There will be different lending needs and different lending requirements either way. So get to know both of those. And we keep talking about, if you're working with the investor or the end user, most people should be working with both. There's no reason not to have programs that you're marketing through your social media or through your done for you program with our team here to both of those. So let's talk a little bit about deal criteria. Skip.
This is a topic that is very personal for me. Over the years, I've always found niches. I've always found people that I want to work with. I like what I would call middle America. I've never been a jumbo, super jumbo kind of real estate agent. I feel comfortable in that segment of the market. So what you have to do now that you've decided that you're going to focus on new construction is you have to decide where. Are you going to drive 40 miles, or are you going to work a area in a close proximity to where you live? You did mention a minute ago, Patrick, and I think it's very relevant, that if you happen to be in some areas of Florida, new construction is not affordable for the people that live there. And as an example, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, many of the new construction projects there will only satisfy a very small segment of that market, people with money. So
And
a
yet
lot
they're
of
selling
people,
out.
what is that?
And yet they're selling out.
I know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But all the middle of the road customers, they're having to accept lower quality housing, or they're saying it's time for us to move, and that is really important. Also, I mentioned it specifically. What price range do I want to work in? I want to work where the masses are buying, and right now that price range is builder price range. In my local market, it happens to be 250 to 400,000. That's the sweet spot. That's what builders are building. And if you happen to be a homeowner with that type of property, guess what? You're having to discount, hold on to that property a long period of time because you're competing against all of these builder incentives. So the real benefit here for me is when I'm looking for deal criteria, I'm looking for customers that have a real benefit of matching up with a new construction project. And that's called niche marketing. Find your niche, find what you're comfortable with, and match up your comfort level with a niche and a market that benefits the consumer. Yeah,
Nice.
back to you.
So that's very in line with our discussion. Now, we talked about taking advantage of this over the next 6 months. This opportunity is super hot. So is it sustainable? Is it something, Eric, that we can build a career in our 5-year model out of?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I've always learned is that cycles never last as long as they say they're going to, and things are never as bad as they say they're going to be, or never as good as they say they're going to be. But here's the reality of this. When you work in the new construction, remember, the builders need to stay in business, so they're going to adapt and adjust. So don't worry about a short-term thing. And you can take that with you as you evolve, even in the resales. But here's the real magic. Will you stay involved? It would be a mistake to assume that since you don't have to do any of the work when you deliver your client to the builder, that you don't have to do any work and then you just go back to the beach. Stay in contact with your clients, work with them, give them ideas and feedback as they develop the plans, the decorations, and everything, because they're your clients. Remember, you want to stay in contact with them, because if the average person stays in their home 5, 7, 10 years, whatever the number is, they're going to be a listing and another sale down the road. So That's important. We never want to lose sight of the fact, whether it's new construction, the fast and easy sale, whether it be the resales, build relationships for the future. And ultimately, we're going to show you how to lay this out and basically knock it out in 5 years. So you say, well, why should I stay in contact with people? When we say the 5-year career, we want to get the money formula out of the way. But if you love real estate and you want to continue to play, I personally love the new construction. You get to see the new models, the new decorations. It's actually a lot of fun as well. So however you plan your long-term strategy for growing repeat and referral business, chances are, even if you were to have enough money to retire in 5 years, you'd still want to play the game. Real estate is fun. And so on that note, stay up to date, stay in tune with what their next projects are, because you can even follow along with what they do next. And speaking about educating yourself, Patrick, let's talk about as a global and sort of a high level view.
Yeah, and this is kind of going to wrap up the story here with this new construction niche. You want to stay educated to whatever level you actually need to be. So again, a little commercial message. If you take part of our Done For You program, you can insert yourself as a cog in the mechanism, make money, and not have to know a hell of a lot. But you would be doing yourself a disservice not to continue to learn. What I've found as one of the most enjoyable parts of the real estate industry for the nearly 40 years I've been doing it. And folks, this has not been a job. I have had jobs in real estate throughout the course of my 40 years, some of them better than others. But now, as I participate in and practice my own 5-year career, Eric, you said it, and Skip, you said it's a fun business. And if it's not, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
There's something wrong with your model if it's not fun, if it's not liberating, if it's not something that makes you feel in full control of your life and your finances. If you're not, you absolutely must contact us, and we'll tell you how to do that in just a minute. But there's a ton of ways you can stay educated on new construction. There are visiting the sites themselves, be hands-on and see what's going on as the development is laying out and growing. I know where I'm moving to, which is new construction, so we're walking the walk here. It's the first 3,200 of what will be 100,000 homes in a city that they're building known as Watersound in Panama City Beach. So I will not only be living there, but I'll continue to watch as this grows and be on the front end of what's happening so that I can sell in my golden years of my career, in my retirement, because folks, you don't want to sit around watching Family Feud for the rest of your life unless that's really your passion. You want to stay busy, and real estate is one of the best ways to stay active and involved and not have to be chained to a desk and or donating your time. So you can attend builders showcases, model home tours. You can join local builders associations. I will tell you that almost killed me one time. I went to a Hispanic Builders Association meeting down in Miami, and it was in Key Biscayne. And when we walked into the venue, there were lovely ladies lined up with mojitos and champagne. And I said no to the first three. By the seventh one, I had both a mojito and a glass of champagne. And then every table was loaded with bottles of wine. Oh my goodness, it was an amazing thing. So another fun way to stay ahead of the curve on this stuff. And you will get all kinds of neat updates on what's happening in the builders world too. Hearing what they're going through, which by the way, Skip, you brought this to our attention. It's understanding the builder's pain more than anything to be able to provide solutions for that and make the highest commissions that are being paid in the industry today.
Could I just just throw one little thing in that I think is critically important? Yesterday, I got a notification from D.R. Horton, national builder, biggest builder in the country, 8% commission. 8% commission. And yesterday I got a notice from the second largest builder in the country, which is Lennar, 3% commission, $5,000 bonus, plus they reduced the prices on a whole project by $15,000.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And one last thing, one of the people that's part of our Do It For You program in St. Augustine just sold a $500,000 property, negotiated the sales price down $25,000 and received a $30,000 commission. Nice. So folks, Do It For You is for you. That's
Yeah.
what this process is about. Help a client make money.
Well, that's going to lead us right into our close. But the last couple of items, there are publications you can subscribe to free. You can go online, but just stay in the game. Whatever your niche is, and whether you're having it done for you, done with you, or you're doing it on your own, be all that you can be, as they say in the U.S. Army. Take the time, learn while you're exercising, listen to audio podcasts, whatever the case may be. But let's close this out now. New construction is a really, really, really hot commodity as far as we're concerned. And one of the things that we do very well is webinars. We've got a dialed in system. In fact, our ebook is going to be coming out probably at the end of the month. Very specific, incredible content on how we do it. But why go through the headache of reinventing that wheel when we can do it for you? So all you have to do, go to our website at 5yearcareer.com. 5yearcareer.com. There are multiple places you can click to schedule a 30-minute call to see if this may be something that's right for you. First-time homebuyer webinars. We average 30 to 50 registered attendees that become your personal leads, and they are put into the CRM that is your personal sub-account of one that we have managed for us and for you. They're your customers. And as Eric said, you want to keep them for life. So don't let them go by the wayside. We also do.
Patrick, not only are they your personal, but they're your exclusive.
Amen.
That's right. Exclusive. These are not leads that come from somewhere that are being sold to you. It's a very dialed in system, very cost efficient. In fact, it ends up not costing you a dime to do these programs. And we recommend doing 2 webinars a month with us. So hook us up. If you like what you heard today, make sure you see it on our YouTube channel as well, which is YouTube, the @ 5-year career, and check out the other content. We talk about a number of different things that we've experienced over the years that are relevant today and why they're relevant today. It's not old school stuff about, well, if you go door knocking at the for sale by owners, you'll get. No, it's all cutting edge stuff using AI, using technology, using today's stuff that we are able to do as seniors in this business and enjoying every second of it. So without any further ado, we encourage you to work with us. Gentlemen, anything before we close this out and send our folks on to a happy weekend?
Sell new construction.
That makes sense. I like it. Eric, anything else?
No, that's good. I think we covered the waterfront, and I think it's really worth taking a good hard look. Come check out. Be a fly on the wall at our next workshop. Just go to 5yearcareer.com, and we'll get you the link and everything that you need in order for you to attend our seminar. Absolutely no cost. See in real life what we do, and then take us for a ride.
Say goodbye, everybody.